Welcome to Clydesdale Media. Fueled by C4, Cellucor, and Extend. Use the code Clydesdale to get 20% off at checkout at c4energy.com. On Clydesdale Media, where we bring you the widest array of content here on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier so you're the first to know when new episodes are available. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast, where we are taking some time out to focus on all of the great athletes who have qualified for the 2023 CrossFit Games Semifinals. And we are honored to have with us Phillip Muscarella. Phillip, what's going on, man?
What's happening? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So you are live from the garage gym.
Yes, sir. We call it Musci's Kitchen. We got a sign in the back there. It's lit up. If it's lit up, you know we're in here working. But one of my clients got me one of that sign. Another one of my clients named it Musci's Kitchen. So that's the tag name we're going with.
Nice. Someday when you win the CrossFit Games, you'll have to get it affiliated.
Yeah, exactly. One of those days. It's definitely it's a good tagline for me because my family is a big family, and in the heyday we were called, like, they just called us Muskie, so it's caught on and it's stuck.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it. So you've been playing sports your whole life. You played football, you played baseball, but your main sport was soccer. Was that your first love or just what you were best at?
Yeah, soccer was the staple in my life. Like I grew up playing soccer. It was my love, to answer your question. I started with soccer when I was like 5 or 6. I started playing competitively when I was like 8 or 9. And then I didn't play any other sports until I was like in middle school. In middle school, I played baseball. And then in high school, just socially, I wanted to play a couple more sports. So I played football and baseball, but soccer was always my main sport, and that's the one that I was most competitive in, and that's the one that I ended up choosing to play collegiately in, and ended up playing a short stint professionally as well.
Yeah, it's not every day we get a pro athlete on the broadcast. So you played in the USL?
That's correct. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was hard, honestly. Like I said, I played football and soccer in high school, and I had to decide what sport I wanted to play in college. So that was my main decision. And what it boiled down to for me was, what can I play the longest, like health-wise? Where or what sport do I have a chance of making an impact immediately? Like, I wanted to play. I didn't want to like wait around to my senior year to play. And then the third part was what type of education I could get. So I ended up choosing soccer, and I attended Santa Clara University, which is a private Jesuit school in Northern California, the Bay Area. And from there, I played off my 4 years there, ended up captaining the squad in my last 2 years, and I didn't get drafted to the MLS, but the second division at the time was USL Pro. And I actually got to play in Southern California where I grew up. So I kind of like went back home. But it was tough. It was, being a professional athlete is hard because people only really see what they see on TV. They don't understand all the behind the scenes part of it. So especially in the United States, playing soccer, as it's not its number one sport, it was a grind. I was living in a house with like 8 other guys, not making really any money. It was just all for the love of the game, honestly. And so I didn't play for too long. I think I only played about 18 months, and ended up retiring and kind of pursuing a different career. So, but now I'm pursuing to be a professional athlete again, and it's something that I'm not used to, but it's just as much work as I remembered.
Yeah, I actually retired from swimming when I went to college because the difference in and swimming was a grind even in hike school. Like we were in the pool before school, in the pool after school, had some, what we call deck training, which was weight training and all that kind of stuff outside the pool. Went to college and it got stepped up another notch. And it was at a point where like, I don't love it enough anymore to put in all this time. And so I walked away from my swimming career my freshman year in college. So I can't imagine like even the next step up from that in like a professional league.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, the passion is what's got to drive it, you know? So for me, like being a professional, like you got to commit a lot of time, but at the same time, your trainings are only a couple hours long, you know? So like I was I was training from like 9 to 12, and then you have the rest of the day to do your extra work or whatever you have to do. And for me, I actually had gotten my personal training certificate my last semester in college when I was training for the MLS draft. And so I was doing some like small trainings on the side while I was still playing professionally. And I got to a point where I was making more money training on the side than I was making for my contract actually playing. So that kind of transition, along with a few other things. But that kind of like my passion was kind of dwindling, and I saw a potential to earn in a different aspects, all those things accumulating. It's a grind, man. And I work with a lot of athletes to this day, and I have that end of career talk with a lot of them. And it's hard decisions, but if your passion is not there and your heart is not there, then it's really hard to continue.
Yeah, in my research, I saw that you were still coaching not like a team basis, but individual athletes. And it sounds to me like more like that, what I call deck work from swimming, that like away from the regular training sessions, getting people ready to be a better soccer player.
Yeah, and I don't work with just soccer athletes. I train at a facility here in Thousand Oaks, California, called Sports Academy, and it's a high-level, all-inclusive sports facility with basically everything you can imagine under one building. As far as you actually can do your skills training for your specific sport. You can do your deck training, like you're saying, like off the field work. We have a full integrated sports medicine with medical doctors. We have a full recovery suite with hyperbaric chambers and saunas and Normatex and nutritionists. Like everything you could think of that you need for an athlete is under one building. And I am lucky enough and blessed enough to not only be able to work there and work with top athletes, but I utilize it for myself too, because I'm still pursuing my passion. And I kind of like, oh, this is one of a kind that I didn't have when I was in high school, but I wish I did. But now I have it now, and it's really a huge blessing for me.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. You work at a facility with all this stuff. Do you get to take advantage of that when you're not working? And if you did, which you said you do, what has that done to change the way you train today?
Oh, Scott, it's so honestly, it's so amazing. And it's really hard to put in perspective for people that have never seen something like that. But really, the major things for me is I'm surrounded by greatness. Like we have professional athletes in there daily, from NFL to NBA to world champion jiu-jitsu to professional and Olympic sand volleyball players, and the list goes on. Professional skateboarders, all people of walks of life that have reached the pinnacle of their sport. And I'm surrounded by those people every day. I might not work with every single one of them, but I'm around them. I get to talk with them. I do work with some of them. I'm friends with a lot of them. And just to be surrounded with those mentalities and understanding how those people are attacking their days and what they're doing and how they think, that's really been a huge eye opener for me because, like I said, they're at the top of their level in their respective sports. And it's like I'm surrounded by them every day. So I get to see how they are and what they're doing, number one. And then secondary to that, with all the equipment that we have, it's I work in the facility, and anything that you could possibly need is there as far as training wise goes. And so that's been great. But the thing that's been next level for me is the recovery side of it. I'm not a young athlete anymore. I turned 30 last October, so I'm in my 30s now. So the recovery side of it has been so important for me. And our recovery suite, we partnered with Elevate, which is a company that has hyperbaric chambers, infrared saunas, red light therapy, and different recovery modalities that I've been utilizing, which has been amazing. So my recovery protocol has been on a different level this year, and that's really the game changer. And like I said, like Sports Academy, I'm so blessed to be a part of, and as a top athlete, everything that you can think of to be an athlete, skills wise, off the field wise, recovery wise, is under one roof, and I get to use it. So it's really been really amazing for me.
So I've got a couple questions now. So what's your favorite method to recover of all the stuff you've tried?
Ooh, okay, Scott. I have a routine now. So my training or my recovery routine goes. Well, I also we also have therapists that do massage and cupping and sort of stuff. So I've been doing that about once a week or once every other week. But my daily recovery protocols goes contrast therapy. So I go cold tub for 10 to 12 minutes, and then I go in the hyperbaric chamber for an hour.
10 to 12 minutes?
10 to 12.
Man.
It's there's some people like to go colder in less time. Like they go like 30s and they go for like 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not that mentally strong, Scott. I like to go a little bit warmer. I put it my temperature that I like is right at 50. So I got to sit in a little bit longer than if it was colder. So I go a good 10 minutes or so in there.
Yeah, I don't know how people do cold tubs, period. Like I call it the hoo-hoo zone. Like that, getting past the hoo-hoo zone is tough for me.
Yes, sir. It's definitely a mental test. But the benefits are for it, and the way that you feel afterwards is, for me, it's kind of like the hype nowadays. But I've been doing it for a while, and the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And also, it's bringing me back for cold therapy. You know, Sports Academy had such a big name in California. We actually had Wim Hof come and give us a tutorial. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's like the ice master.
Oh yeah.
And so I've actually met him, gone through his protocols, so I still implement some of the things he taught me, which helps.
Yeah, he's like big on the breathing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like you got to hype yourself up to get in the cold.
Yeah. So my other question is, if memory serves right, this is not in my notes. Thousand Oaks is the home of the Dallas Cowboys training camp, correct?
Close. They go to Oxnard, California, which is like two towns, two cities down, but very close.
Okay.
So the Rams training facility is actually in Thousand Oaks. So maybe you're thinking about the Rams.
Maybe it was Rams.
They're building. You know, all their training facility stuff is at Cal-U, which is in Thousand Oaks, California University. And then the Cowboys, they go to Oxnard, California, which is just a couple of cities down, and do their OTAs there.
Yeah, so you're surrounded by a lot of big time athletes.
Yes, sir. I get to be surrounded by greatness daily, and one of my coworkers, he pushes me a lot, and you know, as I'm shooting for greatness in this sport, it's as you're surrounded by greatness, there's no reason why you can't be great. You know, you're doing all the things that it takes to be great, and you see what it takes to be great. There's no reason you can't be. So that's the mentality I've been going through, being able to be surrounded by these top athletes daily. It's pretty cool.
So one more question before we get into the CrossFit specific stuff, and that is, your undergrad degree was in psychology. You work with all these athletes on their body. How much of the mind comes into play when you're training them?
Anybody who works with people, or anybody who trains or coaches people, knows how much of a therapist you are, just as much of a trainer as you are for these people. You know, it's just like it's so much mental. It's like I work with general population people as well, so like you're just listening to people, you're giving advice, you're giving difference. You're just hearing people out and you're talking with people. And then for athletes, as far as the mental side, everybody's at that level. Everybody's at the level of really good. And then the things that separate people is longevity, and yeah, like you said, the mental and confidence side. So it's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of any sport, no matter what sport you're playing. But the mental side of it and the preparation side of it, which leads to confidence, is such a game changer. And I see all aspects of it. I see rookies who go in the rookie year and get hurt, and are struggling mentally. And I see a vet who just signed his second contract, who's now making a lot more than he was on his rookie contract. And I see the contrast and the mental sides of, and the differences in how they're training and how they're looking at the year. It's just really interesting to get a whole bunch of different perspectives from top level athletes. And to answer your question, I would say 80% or more of it is mental when you get to the level of where everybody is, the professional level.
So I want to dive into the CrossFit stuff for a little bit. And that is, you've made some massive improvements over the last couple of years in a short amount of time. Maybe some of the answers are what you have access to from recovery tools and all of that stuff. But the older you're getting, you said you're not young anymore, you're actually improving. Last year, you were 95th in North America at the quarterfinals. And this year, you're coming in 12th in the West, which is a massive, massive improvement.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
Work. Like I am 30, but I don't feel 30. Mentally, I don't feel 30. Physically, I'm the fittest I've ever been. And the way that I've been explaining it to people that aren't super familiar with CrossFit in general, or they ask me questions like, we see you're getting top 50 in the world, and how are you there? How do you keep getting like better? The way that I've been explaining it is kind of like compound interest. This is my year 5, so I started, my first official open was in 2019. So this is my year 5, and I haven't let off the gas at all for those 5 years. And it's kind of like when you're investing money into, the banks. It doesn't feel.
Uh-oh. We seem to have lost our guest. Hopefully he just got a phone call. There we go. Now he's back.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
That's okay. Yep. All good.
Okay. So, so the way that I've been explaining it to people as compound interest. When you invest, doesn't seem like a lot at first, and you keep putting money in, you keep putting work in, and you keep putting it in, and it's just like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's growing. You don't feel like the money is getting bigger. You don't feel like you're making that much improvements, and then you just keep on investing. You keep on putting in that work, trusting that it's going to pay off. You put it in, and then all of a sudden you have enough of money where it's just compounding and it's doubling to a point where you're like, oh wow, I notice it now. And that's kind of what it feels like for me. Is I haven't let up for the last 5 years, and I've continued to put in the work, and it just feels like my work has compounded to a level where it's grown to be noticeable. Like before, it's just like small improvement, small improvement, small improvement, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, okay, I can see I'm at a level where I feel that I can be competitive with anybody in the world.
So a couple years ago, you went to Granite Games. I was at that Granite Games. It was so hot that weekend, hotter than like I would ever imagine. Probably the hottest Minnesota has ever been in its life. You ended up getting heat stroke that weekend. What did you learn about that weekend going forward to ensure staying healthy throughout a semifinal weekend? Because you work so hard to get there, and then to have something like that happen in that moment, it had to be devastating.
Yeah, that was a tough weekend. Yeah, I learned so much from that failure, though, Scott. in the moment I was devastated, but looking back on it, it was the best thing that happened to me because that was my first real high level CrossFit competition. That was my first year making it to semifinals. And I ended up getting heat stroke on the very first event. And I basically wanted to withdraw after the first event, but I didn't. And I continued. And oh, there's so much I could say about it. But the fact of the matter is, I learned how to manage an event. Because leading up to it, I was so excited. It was the first event. I stayed out in the sun. I watched the first heats go. I warmed up for way too long. I went. I just didn't do anything properly, and I was actually watching some of the top athletes like sitting down 5 minutes before the event in the air conditioned thing, and I was like, "What are they doing?" And then it was just like I was just so naive and so new. It was like they know exactly what they're doing. And so I learned so much. I got so much experience from um, experience in managing a competition, number one, but I also got experience in knowing the furthest my body will go. I know what that end line is. I know exactly what the the most I can get out of my body because my body just shut down. And what it also allowed me to do is allowed me to be grateful to have my body, and it allowed me to be thankful to have my body do what I asked for it to do every single day. Because in that competition, I was asking my body to do something and it just was not responding. It was like, no, I can't do what you're asking me to do. And it just shut down. And I got really lucky actually, because not only did I get heat stroke on day one, I didn't withdraw and end up going out the next day and getting worse heat stroke the next day, plus rhabdomyolysis, almost had kidney failure and the whole nine. Like it was bad. It was really bad. So I'm lucky to be able to train. I earned great experience managing a competition. I learned what my body's brink is, and I know what level it can go to. And I got so much experience from that failure, more than any sort of success that I think I will ever get, honestly.
So then last year you hit the MAC, and you finished just outside the top 10 in 13th place. This year you're coming in with a higher seed than that to the West in an expanded field. What kind of confidence does that give you coming in this year to the West? In the 12th seed, you only have to make up 3 spots to get a game position.
Yeah, I feel I think regardless of where I came in, my confidence level is at an all-time high. Just like I said, off the compound interest that I put in. Obviously, a live competition is completely different than any sort of online competition, and really anything could happen. So I'm going in honestly as a blank slate. The goal obviously is to make sure that get into that last heat and stay in the last heat, and setting myself up in the second to last heat going in sets me up on a positive note. But I'm just going in like I said, really with a blank slate, knowing that I have to earn everything that I got. But I just feel like the heat stroke year in Minnesota that was supposed to be my last year's MAC. This is how I see myself. I see Minnesota as being my last year's MAC, and I feel like this last year's MAC was supposed to be like my year, and I really felt like that. So it felt like kind of everything was like backtracked 1 year because of me getting heat stroke, and I wasn't able to prove what I could do in Minnesota. But going into this year, I have my my eyes set on top nine and making it to the games, no matter where I come in as a seed. I believe in my abilities. I believe that I can compete with anyone. I really enjoy live competition. You know, the experience I've gotten over the past 3 years, especially at the last 2 years at Wadapalooza, more specifically last year at Wadapalooza, and managing a 4-day competition, competing as an individual and a team. Like, I just feel like things are set up for me. I've gained my experience, that enough experience to know what it takes to get to the games, and I've been putting in the work, and I'm ready to I'm ready. That's all I can say, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So this year, Wadapalooza, the fans were off the chain. You couldn't even get a spot, couldn't get a spot to sit down. What is your crowd, your personal crowd, going to be like going home to Southern California for semifinals? Is it going to be like Wadapalooza?
That's funny you asked, man. So, yeah, it is. You know, like I'm born and raised California, Southern California more specifically. I'm making T-shirts. It's gonna say Musci's Mob on it. I'm gonna have a mob of people there, from coworkers to friends to family, everybody. I'm trying to get anybody who believes in me and supports me through this journey to be there, and I'm planning on having a big section of people being super loud. Like my family's big in general. Like my dad's one of 10, and like I said, we're Muscarellas. You know, we're gonna represent for sure. And I just feel like being in my home state, my home. You know, like everybody's coming to me. You know, I am the California kid. This is my home. I feel like it's home field advantage for me, and I plan on making sure I have home field advantage.
I just see you like walking out on the floor like Ray Lewis, like, this is my house.
Yes, sir. That's exactly how I feel. I just feel like I've I went to Minnesota, I went to Tennessee, and now it's coming to me. Like I could drive home and sleep in my own bed if I wanted to, you know. And there's a lot of people that see what I do but don't know what I do. You know, like people see the work that I put in, and the CrossFit community is big, but outside the CrossFit community, they're kind of like, you know, I work in a sports facility, not like a CrossFit box. So when people see me train, they're like, what is, even these professional athletes, these Super Bowl champions, are like, this guy is nuts. What is he doing? And so people see what I do, but they don't know what I do. And to be able to come and watch in a live setting is going to be a really cool experience. I think getting back to these regional settings is going to be good for CrossFit in general. You know, like all the local boxes that know who I am can come and support and be there, and you don't have to fly to Tennessee. I think it's going to be a really different experience that I haven't experienced yet. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, like that you work at a fitness facility, but they don't really know what CrossFit is. I was talking to Arturo Torres the other night, and he works at Lifetime Fitness. And when he works out, he's there alone. So in his mind, he pictures a crowd, and you can even see him like hype the crowd up before his lifts in his mind,
Oh
but
yeah,
he's doing it in reality, like in his videos. It's hilarious.
yeah, that's funny. And then people at the gym are like, "This guy, what is he doing?"
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
funny.
totally. Yeah, it's cool. It's because, like, you know, like you said, there's this. I'm surrounded by athletes, and I'm surrounded by people that do fitness, and I coach fitness, but CrossFit in at the high level of being a games athlete is different. You know what I mean? And when people see you training at that level, they're not used to seeing people do some of the things that we're doing. So it's just like it's cool to be able to have, like, you know, a jujitsu world champion look at you and be like, "You're crazy," and I'm like, "No, you're crazy," or like a Super Bowl champion come in and be like, "You're nut, like you inspire me. I want to be like you," and I'm like, "Well, you inspire me." So it's kind of like a reciprocal thing. That's pretty. It's a pretty cool environment to be in on the daily.
Yeah. So I want to talk about coaching a little bit. I think when you first started, I read you started with James Townsend, and then you went and switched to someone a little more close to you, less remote. Are you still with that person this season?
Yes, sir, I am. Yeah, James was at the beginning of my CrossFit career, and I'll just do a quick backstory how I got into it and how I met James. I I finished playing professional soccer. I was not playing or competing in anything for about 6 months, and I still had that competitive drive, that competitiveness inside my blood. I wanted to find something. I tried a few things. I tried triathlons, wasn't for me. I tried the obstacle course racing, wasn't for me. My brother was like, "Oh, try this workout," and I was like, "Oh, that was fun." He's like, "Try this workout." He's like, "Yeah, these are CrossFit workouts." I was like, "Oh, this is cool." I walked into a CrossFit gym. James was here in California at the time. It ended up being his gym, and I ended up walking in to his gym during the open. So like my first experience of walking into a CrossFit gym was a whole community of people doing the CrossFit Open. And at the time I had no idea what that was. But I was like, oh dang, there's a bunch of people here, like this is cool. And I ended up doing the workouts with no CrossFit experience.
I think we got another phone call coming in. Hopefully that's it. And there we go.
Yeah. Should I turn my phone on airplane mode? Will it? Or
Nah, that's fine. No,
okay,
we're just used to it.
oh, got it. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Hold on one second. Sorry, I just telling my wife to stop calling me.
Okay.
Okay. But so yeah, so I walked into the gym, ended up being the CrossFit Open, and I ended up doing the workout. I think there was butterfly pull-ups in it. I didn't know what to do, so I did all strict pull-ups on those workouts. And James saw potential in me, and he started coaching me. And he's like, He's actually said, I want to coach you. And so he started coaching me, started doing programming for me, and so my first couple years were with him. I went up to Iowa a few times. Was able to train with Mal O'Brien, he was also coaching her. So the beginning of my CrossFit career, it was pretty like I didn't know who anyone was, but I got surrounded by people that are pretty good. And so after Granite Games, when I got heat stroke, like you said, I wanted to find a coach that was a little bit more close that I could go to, that wasn't remote, that could watch me move. So I've been recently working with my coach Mike Tremello out of Precision CrossFit, which is in Agora, and he's been with me. Or when I went to him in 2000, and I guess I don't even know what the years are anymore because COVID got me confused. But the year after Granite Games,
So 22.
right? Yeah. So I went to him and he said, I believe in you, Phil. It's going to take me 2 years to get you the games. And last year we went to MAC, ended up getting 12th or 13th place. And this is year two, and we're both confident that the work that been putting in, and he puts in just as much work as I do on the programming side of it. He really makes a huge effort to do his research and make sure that Boz is now doing the programming and seeing what his kind of thing is. And so I put all of my trust completely in him. He does all my programming for me. I go in to his gym and he gets to see me move and he gives me cues. Like I said, I do a lot of my training here at my garage gym, but I still go see him often enough where we can work on things. So he's been a really big help for me, and he told me it's going to take 2 years to get me into the games, and we both believe I'll be at the games this year, and it's playing out. It's playing out for us, and semis in however many days, couple weeks, and we're both really excited.
So behind you, I've seen a handful of people kind of walking around. Are those all your training partners?
I'm sorry. This Hannah, who's still getting her work in, is my training partner. This is actually my brother's house. It's my brother's house that has the garage gym. Me and my brother are really close. He's the one that got me into CrossFit. He's he really he's the one that started my CrossFit journey. He told me to do those workouts. I did it, and we trained together. So my brother and I train. Hannah trains, and then the other people you've seen is my sister-in-law, whose house this is, and my little niece and nephew. They're around here too. So it is pretty small as far as the space goes, but I have battled back and forth between training by myself and getting people to train with. I think there's a benefit to both. So the past year, I've been, training with more people rather than by myself. I do still do a good amount of training by myself, but it's always a little bit funner and, get a little bit of a push from other athletes. So Hannah is also a semifinal athlete, and she's going to be in Pasadena with me.
Is she going individual as well?
She is.
Then she'll need to check her DMs because I'm probably going to reach out to her too.
Check your DMs, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm still working on that list. I do like a group, and that's all my mind can handle in that time, and then I move on to another group, and so on. So
Yeah, no, it's hard to find. It's hard to find people that I want to train with, because you want to make sure that people. I want to get a push out of it, and it's where I live specifically. There's not a whole lot of top level athletes, so me and Hannah, we connect really good, and she pushes me in a lot of workouts, even though I just whooped her ass in a workout.
as he flexes.
No, but we get a good amount of training in, and we get to push each other, and we're like-minded, so it's great to have people like that around.
Now, is she coached by the same person you are?
She is not. She follows Mayhem programming, and but when we get together, we kind of mix and match. We don't always do exactly the same thing, but just being in the presence of each other helps. So
Yeah, I get that. Um, last question. You make the games. I read that for your mental sanity, you like to go surfing. Is surfing still on the table while you're training for the games, or if you make the games, you have to put that to the side and until the games are over?
Scott, that's a good question, because I've been very hyper focused on training and doing everything that I can to make sure that I don't leave any stone unturned, and keep setting myself up for the most. I'm doing everything that I need to be doing to give myself the best opportunity to make the CrossFit Games. And being in California, Southern California, my safe place is nature and the ocean. And to answer your question, I have been putting it off. I've been going to the beach. I just haven't been surfing. I mean, look at Ricky. His thing is mountain biking, and he got hurt and he put himself out for the rest of the season. And that's something that's been on my mind, is really surfing. The Sierra Nevada mountains in California have got more snow than we've ever gotten in history. And it's taken everything out of me not to go to the mountains and go snowboarding. Um, and those are the things that I've been sacrificing for this. Is I'm just telling myself, like, you know, that stuff will always be there. The ocean will always be there. The mountains will always be there. And I'm able to get mental clarity and work on my mental health still by going to the beach and like just chilling and going in the water, but not really doing all the action, the action sport stuff, and getting out there and going surfing on the big days, or you know waking up early to go to the mountains when you're getting 6 feet of snow. So to answer your question, that stuff has been put off to the side, and those are the sacrifices and other things that um, I've been sacrificing now, because I am so focused on this goal of mine, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and sacrifice while I still can.
So it sounds to me like Hannah's dropping some big weight just to like throw some shade at you while you're on the interview.
Yeah, she's like, "You're on the interview. Let me just drop this real quick for you."
Yeah.
It's kind
So
of how
last question.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. It's kind of how Muscie's Kitchen is. It's like, my brother has a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we have me, my brother, Hannah, and another training partner that come in and out, and it's really chaotic. It's like organized chaos. It's always loud. The music's always going, but it's an environment that is it's a fun environment. And I think when you're training for something so often and you're sacrificing so much, you got to make sure that you're still having fun. And training in Muskie's Kitchen makes it fun. And I'm really having a really good time, being around my family and going for my goal. And I have that passion that we talked about earlier, and it's really a big fire in me. And having this gym set up here at my family's house is really kind of been a game changer for me as well. So I just wanted to mention, like, my passion is so fiery and I'm so excited. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And it sounds like the trash talking is on like 10.
Yeah, my brother, my brother is my older brother. We have three older brothers, so I'm the baby, and the trash talk and the competitiveness is fully there all the time, and you don't let anybody live it down if you beat them in a workout, and we're just pushing each other all the time. And Muscarella love is kind of like rough. It's rough around the edges. It's smack talk. It's um, pushing each other. And I've always grown to be used to the tough love and just try and win. Just it's always just been competitive my whole life, and the competitiveness is there. And but it's all love. That's what it is. It's all love.
Yeah. The best thing about tough love is, all those people have your back when someone outside that circle comes at you.
Yeah, and recently we it's been really. I wasn't gonna mention this, but I think it's important. Like I mentioned, one of my family, the Muscarellas, my dad is one of 10. Um, one of my aunts, one of my dad's sisters passed away yesterday, and she was like the real Italian woman. My dad's one of 10, and there was only two sisters, and she was like the really strong Italian woman that was super proud of her culture and always was proud of the Muscarellas and the Italian. And we just saw her for Easter, and the last thing she told me was, "I'm so proud of you, and I see what you're doing, and you make the Muscarella name so." You should be so proud to be a Muscarella. And really, I am. I'm really proud. I'm making a jersey, like I said, for the semifinals, and my name is going to be across the back of it, and Musci's Mob is going to be across the front. And I'm just proud to represent my name and put my name out there. And more than ever, we've come together and really shown how important family is, with her passing. And yeah, so my whole entire life has been based around family. And you just can't take for granted any days that you have with them, because you never know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I could say anything better than what you just said there. So I'm going to leave the podcast at that. I want to thank you so much for jumping on with us, Phillip. And you're going to do this year for your aunt. I just feel it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for considering my story. And I look forward to turning some heads in Pasadena.
Yeah. And I'll be there. So I'll see you in person, hopefully. And maybe we'll get some sound bites while we're there.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it again, Scott.
And those people in the audience, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.